The Las Vegas Raiders are in even more trouble than we could have possibly predicted. This is breaking news happening right now, reported by the Las Vegas Raiders that they have placed the rising star cornerback Nate Hobbs officially on injured reserve. Now, what does this mean? This means that he still has a shot to come back, but he has to miss at least 4 to 5 weeks in order to come back from IR. But we do know after that game against the Chiefs, Nate Hobbs did break his hand actually during the game, and it was reported that he said, hey, do whatever you have to do to have me go back out there and compete against the Kansas City Chiefs. So Nate Hobbs putting it all on the line in that game, and he must have known that, hey, his season was probably going to be cut a little short when he got that injury, but he wanted to tough it out and help the Raiders get a W against the Chiefs, and they almost did it. So shout out to him making that sacrifice, and now he will go on injured reserve with the Raiders cornerback room that is already quite thin, to be completely honest. You have Rocky Yassin, who's missed some games earlier this year. He's still available. The Raiders do have Amik Robertson, and nobody could have really ever predicted prior to this season that we'd be relying so heavily on Amik Robertson. Amik Robertson is now set to be the Raiders' #2 cornerback in that whole entire cornerback room, and then you also have Sam Webb there as well. So the Raiders are dwindled down to 3 cornerbacks. They have signed Sean Campbell to their practice squad, releasing Bryce Cosby. You also have Javelin Goodry in there as well in that cornerback room. But the Raiders have kind of been looking for a slot cornerback. You saw Nate Hobbs play there a little bit. Amik Robertson gets some snaps there as well, along with Duran Harmon. But now with Tevon Campbell being on the practice squad, maybe this guy will be elevated to the roster this week when they go and face the Houston Texans, and they might have something in a slot cornerback there. He's had some time in the CFL, has spent some time more recently with the Chargers, but was recently released by them. Whether it be Campbell, whether it be Rocky Yassin, whether it be Amik Robertson, somebody's going to have to step up for the Raiders. Somebody's going to have to pop off there and say, hey, I am the #1 cornerback. I am the #2 cornerback on this team, because Nate Hobbs, those are big shoes to fill. Fortunately for the Raiders, Anthony Averett, who earlier had a thumb injury this season, was placed on IR. He is now due to return, so it's quite possible that you get Anthony Averett back in the mix, and that could be really what saves the Raiders, if that's possible. We don't know for sure, but if you have Rocky Yassin there, Anthony Averett, then you got Amik Robertson in the slot, that could be a good solid room for the Raiders. But if Averett's not ready to return, then yeah, the Raiders are in trouble. You better hope Tevon Campbell could be up to speed. He is a veteran, but you're really relying on Amik Robertson to be the #2 cornerback on your team, something that fans would have never guessed would happen to this 2025th round pick. So the Raiders have already had some problems. Devontae Adams' suspension is possibly looming. We know a decision will be made about that towards the end of the year. They've lost 4 games so far, only won 1 game against the Denver Broncos, and the saving grace is the fact that they have the 5th easiest schedule remaining in the NFL after having the 8th hardest in the beginning. But now, with all these things stacking up, Nate Hobbs going to miss time, Devontae Adams potentially missing at least 1 game unless he only gets a fine. This is really going to test the depth of the Raiders room. Can they survive without their #1 cornerback, and could they possibly survive later down the road without their #1 wide receiver? These are the questions they're going to have to answer if they want a shot at the playoffs this year. Shout out to Nate Hobbs. Feel bad for him. Hopefully he's able to return this season. Broken bones in the hand, that's tough. And this guy has been a rising star, clearly the #1 cornerback on the team after a fantastic rookie season last year. And it just sucks. It sucks he's going to miss time this year, because this guy was climbing up and just getting better and better each year. But hopefully he's going to be able to bounce back later this year, if not this year. Sam Webb, the undrafted rookie out of Missouri Western State, will likely get some opportunities as well. He was finally able to get his season high of 24 snaps last game against the Chiefs. Then you also have Amik Robertson, who's been a starter these past 2 weeks, able to get that fumble recovery for a touchdown, one of the biggest games on defense this year. Hopefully he can make that next step and be a solid corner for the Raiders. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments. Like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.